Greetings from San Francisco, California, USA, my hometown. Right now I am in Katowice, Poland. I'm about to give a keynote lecture at an educational conference to be held here this weekend. This weekend is August 29th and 30th at the invitation of the Minister of Education. But right now I want to talk with you, women in Warsaw at the Women's Congress. I feel honored to be invited to be a speaker, and I would definitely be there. I'm going to be with you in virtual reality by this video that we are making here now in Katowice. But of course, to be among 8,000 women, I would prefer to be with you in the flesh. So I will substitute the virtual for the physical. So I want to begin by saying I have been influenced by women all my life, and so I owe a debt of women everywhere. I want to talk about three things. One, my new book, Where Have All the Good Men Gone, and why men need women more than ever. I want to talk about why we need to recreate all over Poland a center we have here in Nikiszowiec, the Zimbardo Youth Center, for teens and youngsters to go after school, and why that's important for women. And third and last is, I want to share with you ideas we have about an educational revolution going on in Poland, started by our Heroic Imagination Project being spread throughout Poland by our president, Agnieszka Wilczewska. So first of all, I come from a very poor background. My family was in poverty. My parents were Sicilian American who were uneducated. They never even went to high school. But I had a mother who was loving and caring and always directed me to work hard and study and to be good. The next influence of women on me was all of my elementary school teachers in the public school were women. And for a teacher to teach in the ghetto was really a hardship in those days. But they chose to share with us, children, not only academic lessons, but lessons in life, how to live a better life. And then, of course, the third influence is my half-Polish wife, Christina Maślak, butter mushroom, who has had a big influence on my life. So with that said, I wrote a book recently, which is very popular in Poland, called Where Have All the Good Men Gone? We also have a version in the UK called Man Disconnected, and we are now about to publish a version in America, Man Interrupted. And the problem we have is that women, the way to phrase it in English slang, gals are on the rise while guys are on the demise, meaning for the first time in history, women are outperforming men in almost every domain, academically. Last year, women around the world got more academic degrees, bachelor's degrees, MA, PhD, law, business, and even in engineering, which has never happened before. In addition, women are excelling in sports. Women are excelling even in many places, even in the military, and certainly now in organizations. There is still a glass ceiling at the top of organizations that I think ultimately will be shattered as more and more talented women come on the scene. Now, on the other hand, men are doing worse than ever. More and more men do not have the education their father did. That's never happened before. It's always been men would be more educated than their fathers, because young men are dropping out of high school, they're dropping out of college. It has nothing to do with not having the ability. It has to do with losing interest in school, losing interest in academic things. Men are retreating to the virtual reality world of video games, which are intoxicating for men, and now online free pornography that's available in every city in the world 24/7 for free. So that combination is leading men to give up everyday reality, to give up social reality, and spend their life alone in their room playing video games, watching television, looking at YouTube, watching movies, and then watching pornography. So this is a killer combination, because not only are they performing poorly academically, when they start in this virtual world early on, they don't learn how to carry on a conversation because everything is passive. They sit and play, they look. So they don't know how to carry on a social conversation. They don't know the rules. In fact, many women I meet at the TED conferences in America, at Apple, Google, Twitter, big companies, many women will come up to me and say, I love your book, but in your book, it sounds like you're talking about young boys. The men around here who are in their 20s and 30s are the same. We go on a date and they tell me for 10 or 15 minutes what they are doing, and then the conversation stops. They don't know that the next thing is to say, and what are you doing? So it's as if they don't care about anything except themselves. So they're narcissistic, self-centered. But they've never learned the simple rule of conversation. You say something, you ask a question. And so these women are saying, where are we going to find a good guy? So as women are becoming more educated, more professional, making more money, there's no equivalent in available young men. So this is a problem not only in America and Poland, but I think worldwide. So the question now is, we want to promote the new women's liberation, meaning all that matters is you have intelligence, skills, initiative, energy, motivation, and morality. That's the only thing that should matter. It shouldn't matter if you have an X or Y chromosome. It shouldn't matter if the arrow goes up or the arrow goes down on the gender thing. And in that case, men and women should be equal. And so in my book, I was saying men need lots of help. What they need from women is women have to be more inviting, get men to share more, get men to be more open. Most men have no friends. See, again, it's always been this problem even before. Men have been loners, men have been isolated, men have been competitive. Now men are giving up the competition, so they're not even getting good or the best jobs. So men need women, not to nourish, not to mother them, but to get them to be more equal partners. So what it means in one sense, women have to learn to enjoy sports more, and men have to learn to enjoy being a parent or being a romantic husband. So this is a problem. I hope to open discussions at your conference about this theme. What can women do to bring men back into not only into the family, but into the romantic relationship and into everyday life? The second thing I mentioned earlier is a few years ago, I was invited to a small town in southern Poland called Nikiszowicz. And as you know, Nikiszowicz had been the center of coal mining in Poland for hundreds of years. And it's a beautiful, beautiful town. The coal mining company created incredibly beautiful housing. In the middle of each of these rectangles is an open garden where the women would sit and knit and crochet and talk while the men were working. So every man in the town virtually was a coal miner. Every man's son would be a coal miner until a few years ago, they took out almost all of the coal. What does that mean? No jobs. No alternative jobs available. So the men lost not only their job, they lost their identity. They were no longer coal miners. And so what they did, as men would do everywhere, they began to drink vodka, they began to get drunk, they began to quarrel, they began to get obnoxious. And so home life for the children in those families was very unpleasant. Some social workers and psychologists in the town asked me to visit, which I did a few years ago after I gave a lecture at the University of Silesia. And they described this problem. And I said, the problem is economic. I'm a psychologist. How can I help? And they said, oh, we thought you could help. And then I asked the key question. If home life is so unpleasant, what did the children do after school? Because if I was a child, I would not want to go home to an unpleasant parents quarreling. And surprisingly, they said, we don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Where did they go? I don't see them walking in the street. They said, we don't know. I said, okay, my answer is we create a center, an exciting, interesting place, physical place in the middle of the town where teenagers will go after school before dinner. And the reason they're going to go is going to be exciting. That is, we will have consultants, volunteers teach them video, teach them technology, teach them art, music, teach the boys how to dance. And every day they'll have some new program, have games that they can play. And we will invite, every girl has to bring a boy, so we have boys cooperating, not just girls. And we did it. We created, with the help of the children who helped renovate an old space and help paint it. IKEA became a supporter, gave us equipment. My publisher, PWN, provided some computers, provided some books. And it's a wonderful place that children love to go. In addition now, we have a physical, beautiful space available during the day. So parents can come, we rent the space out to different people. So this is one center which is answering the question, how can we make life better for children, in this case, in a small town in Poland? But I think I think your organization should try to promote this idea in every city throughout Poland. It takes a very little bit of money. In fact, we think that Produkcja, your big Portuguese company, we met with them about, they should have one of these in every city where they have a store, which is almost everywhere. So they should be our sponsors. The third thing is, a few years ago in America, I created an organization called the Heroic Imagination Project. And our project has a simple theme. We want to teach people everywhere, especially young people, how to be everyday heroes. That is, how to think every day, what can I do to make life better for other people? For the people in my family, in my school, in my job, in my community. And it's a different conception of heroes. So as you know, Poland has had a long history of heroes. In fact, when I was a child, the heroes were Pulaski and Kosciuszko. I was a little child in school and say, why are people coming from Poland to fight in the Revolutionary War? 1776, America was like, a small little nation fighting against Britain. And America, of course, won that war, created this great nation. But Polish heroes were influential even then. And then, of course, I followed Polish heroes in the Warsaw Rebellion against the Nazis and against the Warsaw Ghetto Rebellion. And so you've had a history of heroes, but these are military heroes, revolutionary heroes. My heroes are just ordinary people, everyday people you meet in the street who always think about, what can I do to make someone else feel special, feel different, feel good about themselves? What can I do as a social deed? So heroes practice daily the social deeds of sharing, of caring. And so we're trying to promote this in general. We have a wonderful website, heroicimagination.org. And now we've also developed new, I say revolutionary educational programs, in great detail, lessons about social psychology, for example. How can you get people not to be passive bystanders when there's an emergency, instead to be active heroes, to always help someone in need, or to defend a moral cause? How can you get people to change their mindset, which is, for most of us, it's what we call fixed. You say, I'm good at A, I'm bad at B. People of this kind, women are not good at math, black people are not good at English. Or so we have these mindsets, which are partly prejudice, but we have them about ourselves. And a lot of research now shows that it's important for everyone, young and old, to develop what we call a growth mindset. A growth mindset means everything you do can be improved with practice and effort. And so when you don't do well, it means you didn't practice enough. You didn't practice. So athletes know this. In fact, we try to get teachers to change their conception of students as teachers are more like coaches and their students are more like athletes. So most teachers have a fixed mindset. They believe some students are smart, some students are dumb, some students are in between. If you're a coach, the idea is all of your athletes have abilities that it's your job to perfect to their optimal level. And so we have these lessons we have developed. We have 6 lessons now. We hope to have more. Also, how to reverse prejudice. In every country, there are prejudices against blacks, against Jews, against Romanians, against Ukrainians, against Albanians. And so we have a whole lesson on understanding prejudice and how to reverse it. So these 6 lessons have been translated in Polish again by one of the great translators at my publisher, PWN. And we have this now set up HIP Poland website, a HIP Poland organization, which is centered here in this area, in Katowice, but we hope to have it spread throughout all of Poland. It's headed by Dr. Agnieszka Wilczynska, who sets up training for trainers who then go into schools and train teachers. It's in many, many schools now, but we're hoping that the Minister of Education will give approval for our program to be incorporated in many high schools and middle schools throughout. I should mention, in fact, in Gliwice, there's a school called Filomata that are using our program in elementary school as well as middle school as well as high school with great success. So again, and I wish I could be there to share these ideas with you. I hope it stimulates some thinking. And I realize one last thing is a very powerful organization in America that influences all of education is something called PTA, Parents Teachers Association. In Poland, I know you have a parents association, there's a teachers association, but there's no combination. When teachers and parents work together, they have enormous political power. They can have big influence on the nature of education. They influence governments to give more money for education. And I know a big problem in Poland is teachers are underpaid everywhere. One of the reasons why in many countries there are very few men in the teaching profession is there's not enough money. So many women teachers who have husbands, it's supplementary salary. So we need to have governments give more money for all teachers, not women teachers, but also more money so it will attract more males. So youngsters will have education not only by female teachers, which is great, but young men also need the role models of other young men. So with that, I wish you a wonderful conference. I wish I can be there. Maybe next year I will be there, as I said, in the flesh. Ciao, Phil Zimbardo.